My most unique experiences as of lately have been just finding the fun in vegan food. And that took something that I had been doing for so many years and flipped it on its head and just changed the rules. And so like all those experiences have been fun. And it's my wife has been with me the whole time with that. Like from just so she's tastes it, she gets it, she speaks the language because she's just been there. She finds things, she's has the creativity, she gets it, you know. And I guess just starting this business, this One Grub Community thing, and just on the ground floor out of like a broke down food truck, and then just doing all this stuff. It's not necessarily the dishes themselves, but the experiences. You know, there was times where I was hanging out in the back of alleys behind El Paso Brewing Company and playing restaurant out of a food truck, starting this thing, and that experience of making that food sticks to me more than the food does. So like one thing about me is that like the food comes and goes. I don't keep menus. As long as I'm in control of a program, I don't have a menu. It's just kind of like my silent rule that I just don't. And we change it. And I want it to be completely seasonal. I want it to be fresh, even if it's something that we're bringing back. I want it to just have its time that week. And so I started that with the mustard seed and continued into my own business and do it now. And it's, I think it's the experience that goes along with it that I'm about. So the food comes and goes. And, we make ahi tuna out of watermelon. That's cool, right? It's neat. We make, funky stuff out of jackfruit. And it's, all this stuff is very trendy right now. And it's a lot of fun and it's good. But it's what's behind it, the experience behind it, and the intention that we're putting forward that has, I'm telling you, it's like becoming less and less about the food and more about the people. Like it's just what it's becoming. And the food just happens to be good. Thank goodness the food is good, and that brings people in. But once they're in with us, it's so much more than that. I'll tell you about food. I'll tell you about teaching and community engagement. They all connect to One Grub Community because that's exactly what we're standing for. I would also add food access. So with food access, the first intention of that was I wanted to make sure anybody can have a meal, no matter their circumstance. And so in that, when we did this thing with mustard seed and I was cooking there, I had to make veggie heavy food. The first intentions when it first opened was providing healthy food to the community. So I had to start thinking that way. And I was already thinking that way, not necessarily cooking that way, and still busting out triple Whataburgers with cheese, on my break and stuff. So I wasn't fully in that. It's been a transition. And I'm losing track. Let's see. I started making healthier food, and then it turned out like half of the menu was vegan just by like accident. And then people were coming in that were like, oh my gosh, we hear there's vegan food here. Oh my gosh, I heard that some of your stuff is gluten-free. Oh, you have stuff without dairy. And like it was bringing access to a sect of people that not necessarily that they couldn't afford it. It was that they couldn't find it. So they were willing to pay, and they're willing to help somebody that couldn't afford it because they're having their dietary needs met. And so food access went from like feeding the poor, feeding the hungry, to just feeding anybody that can't get food. So then it became just as important for somebody that was gluten intolerant or that had celiac to be able to have a gluten-free choice, or somebody that has like, really bad lactose intolerance, like my baby girl, like my 15-year-old, or, and, people that just are on doing different cleanses and different stuff like that. Anybody that's giving themselves over to like a special diet or something has to put more intention towards food. It becomes difficult. And if you can be a route of support for that, I think it'll become easier for a person, and then it'll enhance wherever they're at in life, and then they'll share it. And then, and so the food access is central to that, because within that, then you get to know these people and you get to know why they're eating that way. and then you get to know, what happened to them last week, or you get to learn that, they're going to be without their partner because they're going to Afghanistan for the year, or you get to, and then all of a sudden the community that's already built, you're engaging with them, right? And so with that, it's just this natural formation. So my time was cut short at the mustard seed. I had 2013 through 2015. My work felt far from done, and it was cut short. And the mission that I had personally of that I just explained just didn't go away. And I couldn't go back to the kitchen, like normal kitchen. I tried. I went, the folks at Artavino's Desert Crossing called me up and they picked me up to, help them out. They didn't even know too much what they were going to do with me, but they wanted to make sure, because they're amazing people, that I can still keep working, and they knew that I could help them. And so 6 months they had me on, and I couldn't click in the kitchen. I would update their invoices and their inventory and stuff, but it was just something about that $50 steak going out to that person that I just couldn't jive with. Didn't sit well with me anymore. So I was kind of ruined. I ended up starting this thing with Adriana, and then wouldn't you know, 2 years later, we just ended up where I felt where my work was undone, in the literal space with the garden beds that I had part in taking care of and helping and building, and so here we are, right? If we don't get involved with where our food comes from, then we've lost it. We've lost the whole point. And that's what's happened to our industry, especially in America, the culinary industry, as a whole. We've lost it. So I don't know. There's more out there that are trying to recapture that. And I don't know that I'm trying to recapture it or trying to make a point or anything like that. All I know is that I've learned too much to look the other way anymore. You know what you know, and you either choose to accept it or you don't. And as a cook, if I'm cutting up 50 pounds of chicken breast and I don't know where the wings are and I don't know where the thighs are, and they're just in some different city, and so that some people can have dinner in one sitting and know that like 50 animals just gave up for that one, seating of a dinner. I don't know, like it's starting to like make sense that that's not okay, and what it is, it's the practices. I don't have a problem with people eating meat. I'm not a meat shamer. I'm not even a vegan, but I do know what goes into that factory farming. I do know, the intensity of just the flat out cruelty, the insincere, just the irresponsibility, and that we just turn our head and accept it because it's there. I don't know. It's too much now. So it's symbiotic. And then as far as vegetables go, same thing. We don't know where the kids that don't know what seasonal food is and that don't know what a real tomato tastes like, because it's always flushed with gas before they taste it. And it's like, are we really doing our best in our industry? Is it just our job as chefs just to put food out there and sell it at a profit, and that's it? It doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't, like I've been doing this too long, and I did that for a lot of years. And it's like, I wasn't going to turn in to a chef that cared about the bottom line. It just wasn't in my makeup. And there's no hate towards a chef that is that way, because it's what we are conditioned in this industry to do. I would say food means culture. Food means sustenance, of course. But it also, to me, food means responsibility. It's been a lot of years where I didn't realize that I had this responsibility in doing what I was doing. And I was either contributing to a machine that wasn't working or contributing to something positive. Cooks are people of influence. I didn't know. I didn't know. But like when a cook talks about food, people want to hear. People want to learn from cooks. People care to know why they did what they did. And so food is responsibility. And it was a responsibility and a burden that I didn't know, you know, when I was making goat cheese stuff for the bellows at Cafe Central. Like it's just I was just making fun, fancy food and trying to make stuff cool and impress other cooks. And, you know, there's so much more than that. You know, this thing that sustains us has been disrespected in our nation. And it starts with us because we're the pros, right? We're the food pros. And the farmers are the food pros. And it starts with us. And so that comes with responsibility. So food has given me a burden of responsibility that I happily take on. And so because of that, I want to grow it. I want to teach people how to grow it. I want to cook with it. I want to teach people how to cook with it. I want to bring people together around it so that we can learn about other important things from it. You know, it's responsibility. It is. And it should mean the same thing to all of us because collectively, if we all took on that responsibility, there would be drastic change. Drastic change.